Evet, Defin Türkiye'den herkese merhabalar.
İyi
Bugün
akşamlar.
Engin'le beraber bu akşam dünyanın en büyük RTK ağını oluşturan Geonet CEO'su Mike Horton canlı yayında konuğumuz olacak. Mike'la bugün kısa bir söyleşi yapacağız. Projenin nereye gittiğini, hangi adımların devam edeceğini öğreneceğiz. Güncel bilgileri kendisinden alacağız. Yayınımız İngilizce olacak. Yayının tekrarını Türkçe altyazılı bir şekilde Depin Türkiye YouTube kanalından izleyebilirsiniz. Bu arada kanalımıza destek olmak amacıyla yorum yaparsanız ve kanala abone olursanız çok seviniriz. Evet, Mike'ı alalım yayına.
Alalım.
Hi Mike, nice to see you there. How are you
Nice
doing?
to see you.
Hello, Mike.
Welcome to the Turkey channel.
Glad to be here.
We are glad we made it at the end after lots of talks and packed schedule. Today we are live now on our YouTube channel. And yes, we would like to ask you some questions regarding the project, thinking it as a timeline, where we are right now. Were you thinking that the project was to be scaled up this much, and what are the next steps going to be taken? And we all know that you participated the Congress last week for the agriculture community in US. What about people's thoughts there? What do people think? Please let us know about the latest news from your side.
Yeah, so well, let's start with the beginning. So we're kind of on our third year of the project, and I think it's going super well. Turkey, Romania, Italy, these are the three, I think, countries that really helped GeoNet start. So I have a huge appreciation for the Turkish community to help get the project going that has now grown so much. And I think in terms of where we're at, I mean, the network is really working well, and we have so many customers using the network every day in Europe and in the US and in India, a little bit in Southeast Asia, starting a lot now also on Brazil. So it's going really well. We are the largest StarTK network in the world now.
Yeah.
And I think so many customers in our industry are already using GeoNet, and then so many more are testing. So I think we have a very strong future in classical applications and also in new applications for precision location.
Yeah, what kind of new applications you're working on?
Well, I think
some tips and tricks.
Yeah, we have a lot of tricks up our sleeves yet. So I think if I were to say how far along is the project, I think kind of we're still pretty early from a network point of view, maybe about between 1/3 and 1/2 done. But between using the network, we're maybe only 1%. So only the very beginning. Although we have a ton of use of the network, I think that it's still very early on the use of the network, and our customers are very long-term customers. I think they like the stations. They like the people who are mining the GeoD today, they like their children to keep the station in the same place.
Oh, yeah.
They think of the station as kind of a statue, a monument, and it should stay forever. So we're very, very early on the use of the network. But still have many, many users. I think where we get really excited, what's new is going to be a lot of robotics, a lot and a lot of drones. And then maybe also some things for the AR, VR metaverse. But most important is the robots and the drones.
Yeah.
These, the GeoNet Foundation is working with a ton of customers, and we are also going to start working on enabling people to easily manufacture drones and robots around the world. And that's kind of a big next phase for us, is building out the tools and the hardware to make it easy for local production of the drones and robots.
Yeah, that's great. As far as I read on your website, the ARR value was around 1.3 million last year.
No, it's over 3 million. Yeah,
Oh,
right
sorry,
now.
sorry.
It's over
Yeah,
3
it was
million.
about 3 million. Thinking about it, claiming that it's around only the 1% of the total amount expected for the RTK data use. So it's going to be quite amount of economy that you are building, right?
It should be very good. It should be very good.
Yeah, we everybody is very interested in also the halving thing, because in on the white paper it's maybe because it's written as an example down there. After this halving, the halving will continue every single year by July, right?
Yes. Well, I
Okay.
mean, basically, economy need to have a balance, and as the network grows, the usage goes up, the revenue goes up, the number of tokens emitted should go down. The people who started early have the major advantage by
Mhm.
securing the NFT and by early mining the token early when the rewards are higher. But at
Mhm.
some point, the project must reach a steady state where the amount of token burned is equivalent to the amount minted. And that steady state should occur over the next couple of years, and halving is an important part of that.
Good.
Very important that the network has a stable equilibrium if it's going to work over the long term. I look at the crypto project, so many crypto project, they go high and then they crash. This
Yeah.
is, I'd say, the majority, quite
Yeah.
frankly, the vast majority do that. That's not of interest to GeoNet. It's not of interest to GeoNet's customers. They're looking for a long-term, stable network to use for high accuracy applications. Drones, robots need this network to exist. And so we consider the tokenomics very carefully in its design to create a stable ecosystem.
What we hear about the Turkish RTK, GeoNet's RTK data users is super simple and super fast for connecting, and it doesn't disconnect, and it runs very smoothly. And we tried it in Turkey with the tractors for agriculture and for drones as well. And everybody was very impressed with the results even under 2 centimeter precise location services provided at a very reasonable price. So, what is your expectation in terms of for the next year, like revenue expansion? How you are planning to scale more with the project?
Yeah, so I think that we have a good backlog of people who started to use the network for revenue, and we expect many of our existing customers, business, to grow very. Very steady, strong the network.
Mm-hmm.
Am I okay online?
Network, you're back now.
Okay, yeah, I guess there was a little network glitch, but yeah, I think we have many good customer already
Mm-hmm.
signed up, and their business will grow with GeoNet
Mm-hmm.
as long as the network continue to perform well. And then we have many new things we're working on that we think are even more exciting, that are more consumer oriented. So I think over time, you'll see more and more of the use of GeoNet go towards the
Yeah.
consumer applications, including device like the GeoPulse, but also new kind of robots, new kind of drones. We want to attack and be successful in the consumer use
Yeah,
cases.
that's amazing. That's amazing to hear. Having more widespread use of the RTK data will also benefit the owners of the stations, and many people will also benefit for their daily use, easing their tasks with the agriculture and drones and robots. So it's going to be, we also expect it to be great. Engin, do you have any other questions to Mike?
Yeah, I have.
Please go ahead.
So, Mike, so we are seeing that GeoNet is making some collaboration with other projects like Spexy, WingBits, or so the rover, for example. Will that kind of collaboration continue with other companies, or what we are with the Spexy, for example? How it's going, this kind of project?
Yeah, Spexy's going good. I think we are working with Spexy on kind of a longer term thing that I probably can't talk too much about, but it fits into the general theme of GeoNet and drones. And you know, there is, as I said earlier, one of our next major initiatives, and I'll be talking more about this in a video I'm doing, is to help people make drones and make robots in country.
Okay.
So right now, a lot of the lower cost robot and drone hardware is kind of made mostly in China. And there's been a lot of reasons for that, but there's a lot of new technology that can let people do that more in country. And we think with obviously a trade war and just people, these things are relatively big, so they're hard to ship and expensive to ship. So the local production of robots and drones, we think, is going to be a big theme. We hope we can have some partnerships in Turkey soon to make the robots and the drones in Turkey and in every country. And a lot of what we're doing now is preparing the technology pieces for that, including our collaboration with Rover. You mentioned Rover. Rover, I'm working very hard with Rover right now, and you'll see a lot more about that to help Rover prepare to scale their project. But this collection of the LiDAR data and camera data, that's kind of the other major sensor that robots need. So you need the great thing about the RTK is absolute. I can give you the absolute location very accurately. But I also need some ability to understand what is in the world, what things are there. Is there a door? Where's the door handle? These are handled by the camera and the LiDAR. So our collaboration with Rover is going to really extend our precision understanding of the world and how to interact with the world to that type of data product. And I think you're going to see a very, very tight collaboration around Rover with GeoNet for the development of the physical AI systems to make it, again, with the end goal to make it so these robots can be produced in a scalable way, and they can be produced everywhere. It's not going to work to only have one or two countries that can manufacture robots and drones. This is something every country needs to be able to do, and do in a decentralized way. There needs to be decentralized infrastructure to support it, like Rover, like GeoNet, like WingBits. It's very good to have decentralized users like Spexy, but fundamentally, like consumer, low cost, commercial, and I want to be clear on commercial. Drones and robots need to be able to be built anywhere and serviced anywhere, right? These things, sometimes they crash, sometimes they break. People need to be able to repair them without sending it back to China every time, right? That just doesn't work. So we are hard on the underlying technology to put all this together right now. And you don't see it because it's not ready. I mean, you see pieces of it. You see us working with the robotic mower. You see us working with Rover. These are all the pieces that will underlie this push to full robotic solutions.
Okay, I'm curious about it. What is coming in the future? So we are also expecting actually for Spexy, because he's still in US and he's not expanding to Europe and other countries. So hopefully they will expand their area, so the Turkish community can also earn money from the Spexy a bit. So we are tracking it also. It's good. So I think we have to ask some questions from the community.
Okay.
Sure.
I think the latest question was about the GeoPulse, because we didn't sold so many GeoPulses in Turkey. Still, we have in stock, but I think we have some problems with the firmware or something else. We have disconnections, so it's not working so good as we are expected from the beginning. It's a nice product and it has very high usage area. So, and I want to ask you, do you have any kind of problems gathered from the community for the
We
problems?
do, yeah.
And
We've had a few problems on the GeoPulse indeed. They fall into kind of two buckets. We've had some app problems that we've been fixing, and I think have improved the app a lot. But the bigger problem that we did not see in our testing, and we did test the device a lot, but we've had firmware issues in the GPS module itself, in the RTK module itself, where the firmware kind of randomly decides to reprogram itself and go into a dumb mode where it doesn't really work anymore. It can be fixed. It's not a hardware problem. It's a thing we can fix it. We can upgrade it, but it has slowed down I think our success with that product. But we're fixing it. I think another 2 to 4 weeks, it'll be completely behind us.
okay.
So in some sense, Ingen, it's good you haven't sold, because you can upgrade all the ones you have in stock, and that way the people get it and it'll work the first time. But yeah, it has had a few glitches that we've gotten from the community. I think we've shipped about 1,000, and there are a good 600-700 of them online, and I think we've had 20 or 30 hard failures from this GPS firmware issue, which we are now helping people upgrade, and we'll need to upgrade, I think, all of the devices over time to have the firmware fixed, because something goes on and basically the firmware get corrupted. It's still alive and you can still talk to it, but it needs the upgrade. So people who've had problems, we've been kind of upgrading them one by one, but we're also working on a way to make it very easy to upgrade. So it's not.
Okay. We can also do it in our country, no problem. We are giving proper support for our community, so we can do it very fast, no problem. We are waiting until the firmware upgrade will come, and we will do all the stock devices upgrade before sending them out. So, and another question with the GeoPulse we can use it as a precise location. We have a map on the application, but can we also use it with the Google Maps, for example, on iOS and Android systems? Is it possible?
Yep. So it's possible today on Android. There's a video we put out on how to enable the GeoPulse to feed the precise location to Google Maps and to all the other application on your phone. So basically use the GeoPulse for the position sensor on your phone. And that works today with Android. The iOS, we have to apply for the formal permission. And we are kind of waiting to fix all of these issues that we've learned from the first users. And then we will apply for the formal permission to enable that, and then that will also work on iOS. It's very much our plan, and it's important. And some of our customers that like Bad Elf, we have a customer called Bad Elf, make the GPS receiver. They go through all this too. They have the device approved by iOS. So if you use the Bad Elf receiver, it work with the iOS. So it will work. We'll get it done. Just a little behind.
It's an amazing device. Most of the people are thinking that for a token earner, but it is theoretically a token earner while you are mobile, but the good thing is that the GPS is not really working very well. So driving with GeoPulse is amazing in the city, especially in Istanbul. You can see the precise locations. It's amazing. It works well,
accurate.
Really. So people has to consider just buy something that make it precise for driving, really.
Yeah. So we are, another thing we're working on in the GeoPulse is a full campaign and value proposition for fleet vehicles, and also for rideshare drivers. So for people who do the Uber and the rideshare and the delivery drivers, there's a bunch of data out there already that show the amount of revenue lost and reputation lost by the bad GPS. So we've been collecting that data. We've been building up the market, and we're not ready for our full Web 2 launch for GeoPulse, but it's coming. And the full Web 2 launch, you'll see us push the product out through traditional e-commerce channel like Amazon and Walmart and these types of things. So that's coming, but we definitely are still in the early phase. But it is a really amazingly accurate for a consumer product, for something that's $150. It's there's nothing else like it in terms of the cost and accuracy.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have another question from the community as well.
They're firing from double sides to you, Mike. Sorry.
So the question is, do you plan to make any? I mean, in a single hexagon, a single device is good enough to cover it all, around 20 kilometers. We know it's wider, but it's fixed with the hex limits to 20 kilometers in diameter. So are you planning to let people install second device as a backup unit, maybe gaining a different kind of NFT, like, if one of the system fails, the other one will keep on running. So the preciseness level will always be under 2 centimeters for both systems?
Maybe. So I got some breaking news. We proposed a formal academic style paper on the network reliability of GeoNet. And we proposed this paper to the Institute of Navigation, and it was just approved today. So we will put together a very formal public report on the GeoNet reliability by geography. And I have to say, we've collected a lot of data. We have a lot of story from the customer, good and area for improvement. But this will be a drive to make a very formal report that will be, academic level report on the reliability. And I guess as we study that at this next level of detail, and we have so much more users now, we can see a lot more data than we've ever been able to before. We might learn some things. And when we learn some things, we might make some further adjustments that could be something like that. I don't know. We have to study the data. The customers want perfect reliability. That's why you see us do the GIP6. The GIP6 was direct feedback from customers of things they would like to see us improve. And we put it to the GIP. And I know it was not the most popular GIP, but you got to understand that the customers pay the bill. We're just the middleman, right? We're just helping guide customers and the community to connect together. We actually can't do that much ourselves. Your community run the stations, the customers pay the money. We're just a small organization in the middle to promote, a standard protocol to do this connection. And in this case, there were some things we could see that would help the customer who used the network improve the quality. So we do that. But now we're going to do our own very formal study of the network reliability. And I think that outcome of that, I am sure we will share with the community. It'll be a published paper. Anyone will be able to read it and see it. And I guess we'll learn from that how other things we can do. Maybe it is backup techniques. I don't know. We're going to learn from it.
Okay. Maybe some geographic locations has some difficulties.
That's for
maybe
sure.
in that kind of places, maybe additional stations will be good. So
Yep.
Probably it will coming like that after the paper. It's good. So nice to hear that. So I have a question now, Rajai.
England's got a question. Let's hear it.
So as you know, we are in a strategic position in the world. So we have, therefore, for example, we have some problems on the borderlines. For example, Syria, Iraq, Iran. So therefore, there are lots of jammers, and some of them are continuously working. Some of them are sometimes they're working in daily basis, maybe 6 hours, 4 hours in critical times. I don't know. but people, when it is when it is, you know, you are installing a station there, it's working very well, you are leaving the place, and after 6 hours, okay, the jammer is on and it's gone. So
Yeah.
are there any solution? Is there any solution to?
Well, there's big picture solutions. I'm afraid to the poor miner who has the station that's being jammed. There is not such a easy solution. But I talk about the big picture solution. So the big picture solution, the most important one for GeoNet is we're working with groups who are deploying the low Earth orbit satellite. So why is the low Earth orbit satellite for positioning exciting? Well, the current satellites are 12,000 miles away. I don't know what that is in kilometers, but it's far. And low Earth orbit satellites are like 300 miles. And what that means is the signal is much stronger. And so if there are the low Earth orbit satellite transmitting the PNT signal, then they're much harder to jam, because what makes the GPS easy to jam is it's very weak. It's like a tiny whisper. You can barely hear it, right? You can barely hear the signal. That's what makes it easy to jam. If the signal is loud, it's harder to jam. And so that, I think, is, you know, it's an important priority to get commercial, again, non-military, commercial, stronger positioning signals into the sky, and GeoNet is going to play a role in that, and we're really excited about that. Another thing, you know, the technique inside the receiver and the technology to kind of tune the jammer out is getting better, and there is again something actually we're about to announce. I'll just mention it here. So we're going to start producing some of the miners in the U.S. because of all of the trade. We're encouraging our hardware partners to produce some in the U.S. And we did this partnership. I don't know if you remember, at CES, we announced a partnership with Septentrio.
Yeah.
The ones that we produce in the U.S. will use the Septentrio receiver, which has some ability to tune out the jamming signals. So we could try that in some location in Turkey. See if it makes a difference. Now, I've tested the stuff a lot in areas with intentional jamming, and it's tough. I mean, if the jammer is loud enough, it just is overwhelming. You know, it's like you try to tune out a really loud noise, and you can kind of cover one ear, and it's better, but it still bothers you. It's kind of a little bit the case. It's hard if there's a really big jammer near you. It is hard to tune it out, and I think in a lot of areas in the Middle East, the jamming is just prolific. We had a station, you mentioned the Syria, we had a station on the border of Israel and Syria. It was jammed for almost a year. I mean, I would check it like every once in a while. Now it's back. Somehow the jamming is off now, but it was jammed for a long time. And you know, we'd see like one satellite. Now it's back to like 40.
Crazy.
It is.
Difference.
It is.
Yeah, pretty big difference indeed.
Yeah. No rewards when there's only one satellite. I mean, I think decentralized technology is really important, because it's the only thing that can give people some ability to have some freedom, right? I mean, governments are crazy these days, totally crazy.
Yeah, even for example, in Istanbul, for example, for Spexy in Turkey, it will have a lot of problems, because you can't fly a drone in complete Istanbul. Even in Ankara, also, it's not possible.
Yeah,
we have a special, you know,
first, and then permission,
like a jammer, but it is taking the control of the drone, and it is. Yes, and the drone is flying in another direction. And
yeah. So what these guys have done, I mean, what people have done is they figured out how to hack into the drone control signals. So the DJI drone, it doesn't use the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi. It has their own radio link. I think they call it Oculink. But some guys have figured out how to use the software-defined radio to and get it, and then they can redirect it or jam it or bring it down.
Yeah, They are doing it.
It's
They're
a
doing it.
crazy.
It's crazy.
Okay.
Rajai, your turn. I don't have any
Okay.
questions
One
anymore, so you can close
quick
it.
last question. How about smart contracts? The GeoNet RTK data, is it going to be used with smart contracts for insurance companies? Because this is also a big economical value, would be a big economical value for the project. What do you think about it?
I think it's a super idea. It's funny because yesterday I was on a panel at a construction show, so called Built Worlds, built as in like, physically built, constructed worlds. And I was on a panel to help introduce blockchain to the construction community. And after I talk, someone come to me and talk to me about this exact thing and doing insurance and doing how to do blockchain and monitoring locations for this type of application. So yeah, I do think that's a real use case. And I think that, you mentioned my testimony at the Congress. I think that this is the key missing piece is U.S. endorsing good laws around crypto, which they're working on. I was really surprised in my testimony how proactive both the we have two sides in our government. We have the Democrats and the Republicans. So the committee had members of Congress from both the Democrats and the Republicans. They were both sides very supportive of crypto applications that involve real use cases, real world, applications. So I think it's almost certain that over the next 2 years, there will be good laws in the US to support crypto. And then I think a lot of application like insurance and different types of things, those type of applications will happen much faster. Because I think the big barrier for a lot of those type of things has been just uncertainty around, well, is it legal or not? And, something like GeoNet now, it's very clear that you can go use RTK, like people know how to use RTK, but something like what you're describing, it's a new, using a smart contract, tying it back to a geophysical data. This has never been done before. Whereas like the user side of GeoNet, RTK network been around for a while. People know how to connect to it. There's standards. So we don't have any barrier there. But for some case, like you mentioned, you do need to do something new. And then people ask, well, is it legal? And then, how does a smart contract work? So I think having good law in the US will affect the entire world. Like once the US kind of give a stamp, then everybody else, I think should come along quickly. And in Europe already doing a lot with their regulation to be proactive for crypto. So I think it's going to come for sure.
Okay. Thank you very much.
The last question from the community. So, okay, it is a bit from the token. I don't like to talk about the token pricing and so on. The question is about, are there any upcoming listing like Binance or other big players in the market? And do you think that the token price is underestimated? Just this one. We are not going to.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can't comment on the token price, but I've been frustrated. I will say I've been mostly frustrated with the listing process. I think we're going to get a breakthrough on the listings at some point in 2025, I hope. But what I see that frustrate me the most of all in crypto is this push for very quick volume, drive a token up, then crash it down. I think it's so bad. Obviously, some projects say they can't control it. It's just what happened. It's fine. Maybe it's true. But I think the listing process, the way that they choose the project to list, it create a lot of that. So definitely the listing process itself is a part of why so many tokens go up and crash. And then another part of it is that there isn't really like just an emphasis on projects utility. So these things, they're my major number one frustration. And I'm hoping that people will start to value projects that have more real world value, and that will over time benefit GeoNet, but it's gone slower than I'd like and been harder. And I don't know. I mean, you guys are in the community, you know as much as me. I just find it amazing that people keep pushing some of these ideas over and over and over again, and every time the same result occur. Like, I guess some people make some money, but many more people lose money. I don't know how you build a sustainable. At some point, people get tired. I mean, nobody likes to lose money. That's not a good experience. Like, given a contrast. Okay, the stock market is very volatile. The U.S. stock market is very volatile in the short term. But if you threw a dart at a board at a U.S. stock in 1995 or 2000, you just randomly pick a stock in 2000, most likely you made money by now. Maybe you didn't do as good. If you bought Apple, you did better. If you bought Tesla, you did amazing. But you probably pick any stock, or pick any 3 stock, 2 would have made money, 1 would have lost money. You do the same thing for crypto. You go back to 2018 and you pick 3 tokens. I don't think the same is true. I think most people would have lost money. That's the problem. I mean, GeoNet may fail. It could reach some problem. But if every project were like GeoNet, if there were 10 projects like GeoNet, then everyone who entered into crypto would make money, because maybe GeoNet somehow run into a problem, but the other project doing a real thing, it would make money, right? That's what I think of with stocks. Most of the things are good. Some are bad. Most are good. It's not the case. This is a major, I think the whole way that projects are picked for listing is a big part of the problem. It's a big, big part of the problem.
All right. So I like the way how we are doing it. So people are asking, so when will Elon say GeoNet is the best? So we will see. Okay, that was my questions, Mike. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's so great to join. Yeah,
live broadcasting.
We enjoyed it very much, and everybody have a great evening, and look forward to talking with you again in a future date.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We'll just mention about the GeoPulse giveaway. So
now we will have a giveaway for GeoPulse and friend.
But not now. After we will.
After we finish the live session.
After we finish, yes.
The giveaway.
We'll continue on the live meeting together with Tansel, and so we will plan the giveaway. So.
All right. Cheers, everybody.
Mike,
thank you
have a
very
nice
much
day.
for joining DEP in Turkey.